Breakfast at 5. 10 News with Georgina Lewis and Geoff Mullins.
Tonight, Natasha Ryan's father speaks out exclusively about getting back the daughter he had given up for dead.
You feel like you want to cuddle her so bad, then you also want to sort of boot her in the bum for what she's put you through.
Good evening, I'm Geoff Mullins.
And I'm Georgina Lewis.
There's to be a Crime and Misconduct Commission investigation into how police ignored a tip-off that alleged murder victim Natasha Ryan was still alive. A counselling service received a call from a woman answering her description several weeks ago. Today, Natasha's father told of the joy and pain of discovering his long-lost daughter after years of believing she'd been murdered. He spoke exclusively to 10 News.
Robert Ryan never imagined he would see his daughter Natasha alive again. After 5 years of silence, he was full of tears, not words, when they were reunited.
I didn't say hardly anything when I saw Natasha. It was just, I couldn't stop cuddling her. It was like I saw a ghost.
Not a ghost, but his daughter, now a young woman, overwhelmed by the world she's returned to.
She's very beautiful, very pale, and very confused and frightened. But she's alive, and that means more to me than anything.
Mr. Ryan was in court last Thursday listening to the trial of Leonard John Fraser, the man who'd been accused of murdering Natasha when a telephone call changed his life. At the other end of the line was his daughter at the Rockhampton police station. To confirm her identity, he asked her a question only they would know the answer.
The reply on the phone came back, "I love you, Dad. I'm your grasshopper." I nearly collapsed.
It was the nickname the father had given Natasha as a little girl.
She just got these long legs, a little girl, and I try to give kids nicknames, and she was stuck with it. But I was real proud that she remembered it.
Yeah,
That means a lot. If I could catch a grasshopper, I'd kiss one too.
Since then, father and daughter have had not much longer than a few minutes together at a time. It's been filled with hugs, not answers yet as to why the teenager faked her own disappearance.
We're talking nearly 5 years, and you can't cram 5 years or questions in 10 minutes or so. The answers for the past, the questions I will have from the past, I will want answers for, and I deserve them.
2 years ago, Mr. Ryan and his family held a memorial service to farewell their missing daughter. His pain is still close to the surface.
If there was a punishment I could probably dish out to Tash, I'd like her to sit through it. Part of me, before I come here, you feel like you want to cuddle her so bad, then you also want to sort of boot her in the bum for what she's put you through.
Mr. Ryan appealed to the author of the anonymous letter that helped find Natasha to contact police so it can be determined how long others knew his daughter was alive and well. He's condemned the media bidding war for the exclusive rights to his daughter's story and is disgusted with high-profile Sydney agent Max Markson for trying to sell it.
I don't want anybody to think that any of my side of the family is trying to make any money on any story.
All Robert Ryan wants to do now is put the past behind him and start a new life with his daughter.
I think that will be the happiest day, one of the happiest days in my life when that day happens, yes.
In Rockhampton, Tony Fabris, 10 News.
A Brisbane Kids Helpline counsellor reported to police 12 days ago that a young woman rang in last month with a story remarkably similar to that of Natasha Ryan. The CMC will investigate why that information wasn't passed on to investigating detectives.
The 10th of March this year, a young woman telephoned the Kids Helpline counselling service in Brisbane. The details of the conversation bearing a striking resemblance to the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of Natasha Ryan. 10 News has learnt the anonymous caller told a counsellor she'd been missing for 5 years, that she'd been living with her boyfriend and that a man had been charged with her murder. The counsellor called Queensland Police Headquarters, but the information was never passed on to detectives investigating the teenager's murder.
But on the face of the information relayed to the police officer, more should have been done.
Today in Rockhampton, Natasha Ryan and her boyfriend Scott Black staged another disappearing act again. No sign of the two lovers, but their celebrity agent Max Markson left the 19-year-old's house after completing the final details on the sale of their amazing story.
There's no decisions made at all at this stage, but the family will not be doing any interviews at this stage anyway.
Mr Markson trying to fend off growing public anger that the couple stand to make more than $250,000 for the story.
It would be obscene and immoral in the extreme to have somebody profit from that.
Queensland police have already spent millions of dollars investigating Natasha Ryan's murder, a bill she and her boyfriend could be forced to pay.
If there needs to be a change to the law, then we are prepared to consider it.
Mr Markson lists former United States Presidents George Bush and Bill Clinton as his clients. Sources say he stands to make 25% of the eventual deal struck. You stand to make a lot of money out of this, don't you?
Well, I'm not prepared to discuss those issues, unfortunately. I'd love to. I'd love to talk to you and go through it with you, but I can't.
You're a businessman, aren't you? It's just a business.
Anything else I can do for you?
I think that the best thing that these leeches could do would be to get out of town and don't come back.
This afternoon, a crew of 8 from a high-profile program arrived in Rockhampton, the deal apparently all but done. In Rockhampton, Tony Fabris, 10 News.
Just a short time ago, Agent Max Markson released a statement saying Natasha Ryan and Scott Black will not receive any money for selling their story. He discounted claims they would be paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. The case dominated debate on Talkback Radio today. Listeners were overwhelmingly against any money changing hands for the story.
Yes, I'd be very against her making a profit out of something that costs the community, the public.
She should be allowed to sell her story.
You think so?
Yeah, and then I think the government should confiscate the money and use it to pay all the expenses of the cost of looking for her.
All the money that has been spent trying to find this girl, and if she deliberately stayed hidden like that, I feel that police charges should be laid against her and the boyfriend.
The shock reappearance of Natasha Ryan failed to scuttle the trial of her alleged killer, Leonard John Fraser, who's accused of murdering 3 Rockhampton women. But the 18-year-old may still be called to give evidence.
The future of Leonard Fraser's murder trial was hanging in the balance from last Thursday. Legal teams taking 3 days to absorb the stunning revelation that alleged murder victim Natasha Ryan was in fact alive.
I think we'll just wait and see what happens in court this morning.
Is there anything that can safely be said?
Not at this stage, thank you.
Inside, the jury learned the trial would forge ahead. The 3 remaining murders of Sylvia Benedetti, Julie Turner and Beverly Lego to be decided. The judge told the jury to ignore media reports and theories about the trial, saying, "You know much more about the case. You have listened to nearly a fortnight's evidence. It's very important for the proper administration of justice that you alone consider the reliability of the evidence." Eerily, the Ryan case arose in evidence today. The court hearing recordings of Fraser speaking with police about Ryan, saying, "I don't know where Natasha Ryan is. I still think she is alive somewhere." Detectives also showed the jury maps, allegedly drawn by Fraser's hand, said to show the place where Natasha Ryan was killed and her remains disposed of. But other hand-drawn maps allegedly show locations where Fraser eventually guided investigators to the bodies of the 3 victims. The trial continues tomorrow with evidence from one of Fraser's cellmates. Sharon Marshall, 10 News.